everybody. So we're going to start talking about the next Philip K. Dick story, which is great. Let me grab it here. It is called Beyond Lies the Wub. Now this is the first story of Philip K. Dick's that actually got published. It's obviously not the first one he wrote, but it's the first one that got published. It was 1952, I believe, in July 1952 it got published. I think the little magazine was called Planet Stories. There's tons of those little magazines, right? But this is a fun little story. They're obviously all really short. This one's really short. It's about a ship of humans that's on Mars, and it's picking up livestock from Martians, loading it onto the ship so they have enough food to eat to get back to Earth. So there's this captain that nobody likes, right? It starts off with this alien who's not happy, and all the animals are going up the ramp into the ship, and the captain comes walking up, and the alien turns to leave, and the captain steps on his robe so he can't go. And he says, "What's wrong? Everything's great. You guys can just run out and find more animals, right? I mean, there's no problem here." And the alien's like, "I must go back to my village," and he just goes. So then the captain walks up to the plank where all the animals are going up, and there's one of his men standing there, and he's like, "Hey, we got a really good deal for these animals, right?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, whatever." And he leaves because he's mad about it too, for some reason. I think everybody's aware that the captain is really taking advantage of these people, of the natives here. And then another soldier comes walking up, and he has behind him a huge pig he's got tied to a rope, and he's just walking it toward the ship. And the captain's like, "What is that?" And he's like, I paid 50 cents for it. They call it a wub." And the captain's like, "It's just a giant pig, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And the captain's like, "I bet it tastes good." And the captain, this is a weird little part, the captain grabs a bunch of the fur on the pig and pulls it, and the pig cries a little bit. And then they go on up into the ship, which is really crazy. Then it has a hard time moving through the hallways. It's like scraping itself on the edges of the walls and stuff. And it keeps laying down and going to sleep, and they have to wake it up to get it to go. So then the captain says, "Bring that wub in here. I want to look at it and find out about eating it. Let's get the cook in here as well." So the wub comes in, and the captain's like, I wonder if we would just eat it like a pig." And the wub says, "Can we change the subject?" And of course, everybody freaks out. The captain thinks maybe there's a native inside, because the mouth isn't moving. It's just talking. And it turns out that the wub has kind of a mental ability where it can read people's minds and put its thoughts into their minds. So the captain's like, "All right, you don't want to be eaten, but we got to eat. Let's go up to my office and talk about it." So he walks up to his office. The wub follows him up, and inside the wub's like, "You could talk to me about art. You can talk to me about philosophy. There's so many great things that we can do rather than just eat me." And the captain's like, "Nope, I've had enough. We're going to eat you." And he goes out in the hallway. He opens the door, and the wub makes him freeze. He just freezes in place. And the wub goes down the hallway, finds the soldier that bought him, and they start having an intellectual discussion about Odysseus. And the wub is like, "I think Odysseus pops up in everybody's culture. We have an Odysseus type figure in our culture." And then a bunch of soldiers come storming into the room, and they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be okay?" And then the captain comes in, and they're like, "Because he froze the captain. It was terrible. He was just standing there. He wouldn't have unfrozen if we hadn't come up and talked to him." So the captain's like, "This is it. It's over. I'm going to shoot this wub right now." And everybody's like, "I don't know if you should. That seems kind of bad." And slowly they all just end up leaving the room because they don't want to be part of it. So finally it's just the captain and the wub left in the room. And the wub says, "If you're going to shoot me, can you look in my eyes while you do it?" And the captain says, "Of course I can. I grew up on a pig farm. I've killed lots of pigs. I can look in your eyes." So he looks in the pig's eyes and shoots him. So then they cut to the dinner scene, right? The wub has been cooked. The captain is just eating it up. But all the other soldiers don't really have an appetite for it. And they each kind of just get up and wander out, like they're kind of done eating. They don't want to eat it. And the captain's like, "This is so good. All the stories I heard about wubs are true. Wubs taste really good." Finally, the only person that's left is the soldier who bought the wub. And he's just sitting there looking depressed, staring at his plate. And the captain says, "Come on, don't be so depressed. You know how I like to just eat and relax and talk about philosophy. Why don't we just pick up our conversation where we left off? Let's talk about Odysseus." And of course, the soldier realizes that he's not talking to the captain anymore. He's talking to the wub. And the wub must have taken over the captain as he was shooting him. That's why the wub asked him to look into his eyes. And that's the end of the story. It's a fun, kind of Twilight Zone-y story, right, with a weird twist right at the end. I think the basic premise of it is to not judge a book by its cover, of course, and to not be to be kind to all living things. Don't be. It's funny that the captain, in a lot of ways, was more of a pig than the pig was. The captain was the true pig on the ship, and the wub became him. So he is now truly the pig. But it was cute and fun. It was very straightforward, a very simple story. There wasn't any, like, the most confusing part is right in the beginning. I'll try to read this first sentence to you. And I know that Philip K. Dick loves to do this. He likes to make readers, right when they start reading, he likes to make them go, "What?" So I'm going to find this first sentence here. "They'd almost finished with the loading. Outside stood the Optus, his arms folded, his face sunk in gloom. Captain Franco walked leisurely down the gangplank, grinning. 'What's the matter?' he said." Right? So this weird Optus. And then, of course, you realize that's a Martian. And the Martian is a native to his little village. And they're giving all of their livestock to these humans so they can make it back to Earth for some stupidly little amount of money or something, I guess. But it's a very, very cool story. And I also like that there's a little bit of, I mean, maybe I'm just reading this into this, but with America's history, with a lot of people coming from Europe and settling here, and then the way that the natives have been treated and all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of that in there, but there's a kind of a revenge in it as well. I think it's a really good story. I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about it. I don't know if any of you have picked up the book yet, but you should pick it up. You can get them for pretty cheap, and it's tons of fun. There's so many great stories. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the story when you first read it, perhaps. That'd be fun. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.